Hello students, Standard 8. Now, as you know that all the chapters in physics and chemistry are finished. So now, slowly we are going to revise all these chapters. In this chapter, what will we do now? That I wrote down some questions as an assignment. During the video, I will discuss about the answers, and then you will write down the answers on your own as an assignment in your notebook. So let us start with the chapter number 11 in physics. Force and pressure. Now, in the previous standard, we learned about how the objects are moving. When we see that the objects changes the place, we can say that it is in motion. Otherwise, we say that it is at rest. And we see that some move faster, some objects move slower also. Sometimes we observe that the moving objects are getting slow and then stop. For example, the ball rolling on a ground or on a floor gradually slows down and then it stops moving also. Sometimes we see that the objects which are moving can change the direction also. So now the question arises that what's going on the ball which is rolling on the floor, so that it slows down and finally it stops. How can direction also can be changed? In our everyday life also we see so many incidents, experiences in which the objects moves from the stationary and the speed is increasing or decreasing, direction also changing. If you watch the football match or the hockey, in which every time you see that the ball is changing the direction. How? That you already know about it. Similarly, the goalkeeper tried to stop the ball so that he can save the goal, and so on. In the hockey player and football player, the hockey player pushes the ball with the help of the hockey stick, and in football they kick it with the legs or with the head also. Similarly, in the cricket match, the batsmen try to change the direction and the speed of the ball with the help of the bat, and so on. So in this all situation, you can see that the motion is there, and sometimes the speed is increasing, sometimes speed is decreasing, means we made it faster or slower, or sometimes we change the direction of the motion also. And to do all these changes, we know that we apply the force. When we apply the force, and then we can do that work on that object. So now we see that here we apply force in different ways, and in that generally only two types of most forces we are doing, and that is either the push or the pull. But there are so many actions we are doing to apply the force, like kicking, lifting the object, picking, opening, shutting, closing, hitting, flicking, pushing, etc. By so many ways we apply the force. But you know that all the actions can be classified as two, either the pulling or pushing. For example, if you are kicking with your leg, it means that you are pushing with the leg, but we call it kicking. When we hit with the ball, we are pushing here. When we are lifting, means pulling. When we are opening, we are pulling the door. When we are closing, actually we are pushing it. It means that all the actions that we apply for the force can be classified as two, either pushing or the pulling. So the pull or push that is applied on the object is known as the force. So what is a force? As I already explained you, that a push or a pull on an object is called a force. So when we apply the force, then you will notice that any one of the action is related with it, and that two actions are pull or push. You will think about it. Whenever you apply force, doesn't matter you kick it or hit it, lift, pull it, push it, whatever is there, in any situation, it will be either the pushing of the object or it will be the pulling of the object. For example, here in table 11.1 in your textbook, a table is given, and I hope you have filled it already, and if not filled, you can fill it after the video, in which some situations are given, and in which what type of action we are applying. It means pushing, pulling, or lifting, picking, etc. And then in the last two columns, either it is push or pull or both, that you have to write down. First is moving a book placed on a table. So now if the book is on the table and you want to move, you can do different way. You can either push it or you can pull it also. You can lift and then put it back on the other side also. So we can do it three ways: pushing, pulling and lifting. It means we are using both pull and push in this situation. Second thing is opening or shutting a door. You know it, when we are opening, we are pulling. When we are closing, we are pushing. So here either push and pull are there. Third, drawing a bucket of water from a well. So you are actually pulling the rope. You pull the rope so that the bucket is coming out, and then when the bucket is on the upper side, you lift it and take it out. So in this also you are pulling it. So a football player taking a penalty kick. So for that he is doing kicking. Kicking is with the leg, but it is actually a pushing. Similarly, a cricket ball hit by a batsman. So here also he is hitting it with the ball, with the bat. And then it is also known as the pushing. Similarly, moving a loaded card, opening a drawer, and you can add some more situations like that. And that then you can see that what type of action is related, and it can be grouped as a pull or it can be grouped as a push on the body. So in science, as I told you, that what is force? Force is an action which is either a push or a pull on an object. Now the question arises that how the force come into play. The question is that explain that forces are due to an interaction between objects. It means that the forces themselves cannot come into play. For that, there must be interaction at least between two objects. For example, if the car is standing and if a guy or a man standing behind it doing nothing, then will the car move itself? No. He must do interaction. It means that he has to put his hands and apply the muscular force. But only without interaction it is not possible. So here you can give the examples like this one. Also, the two girls, when they are playing or they are pushing each other or pulling, when you are pulling a bullock also, you can see that in the pictures in your book. So there must be an interaction between at least two objects for force to come to play. So the forces are due to an interaction between objects. Without interaction, force cannot come to play. So that is the thing you have to remember, that the forces can come into play when there is interaction between at least two objects. It can be between two or more objects also, but at least two objects must have interaction so that force can come to play. Now the next question is that what happens when two forces are exerted in same direction and in opposite direction. So now for that you can explain like that. You are trying to push a heavy object like a table or a cupboard or a big stone. Now if you are applying the force but it is not moving, then you will call help from your friend. Call your friend, and then two or three together you start giving the force from the one side. Then what will happen? It will easily move. So here you can see that when the forces are applied on the same direction, then the forces are added. Means my force, other friends, all the forces are added, and therefore the object can move easily. It means that when the forces are exerted in the same direction, they are added. But now if you are moving an object and your friend is applying force in the opposite direction, then what will happen? You will see that the force which is higher in that direction only the object will move. In this situation, the forces are subtracted. Means greater force minus the smaller force. So, the difference, it means that when the two forces are exerted in the opposite direction, then the net force which is acting on that object will be the difference of two forces. Means the higher force minus the greater force. And the direction of the motion will be in the direction of the greater force. For example, you see the competition of tug of war, in which two sides, there are two teams, they try to pull that on their own side. Now, if they are pulling in the same direction and they are pulling in the other direction, but now the force which is more, then they will pull that all from the other side. So here also there is a difference of the force. So the force when applied in the same direction are added, means the net force will be the addition of all that forces. We know that force is expressed by its magnitude. And then, as I told you, in the same direction they are added, opposite direction there is a difference between them. Then the net force will be like that. Now, we know that the force, when we apply the force, there are some effect of forces. So, what are the two factors on which effect of force depends? So, there are two main factors on which the effect of force depends. One is the magnitude of force, means how much force are you exerting. And second thing is the direction of the force. Because we saw that if it is the same direction, it is added, opposite direction, they are subtracted. So these are the two factors which are affecting the effect of the forces. That is the magnitude of the force and direction also. Now, what are the effects of the forces? We already discussed about it, but let us again talk about it. When the object is at rest or it is in motion, and when we apply the force, what happens? For example, a ball is lying on the floor, and if you apply the force by your leg or with something, what will happen? It start moving. And if it is already in motion and you apply the force in the same direction, then it will move speedily. In opposite direction, it will move little slowly. It means that when we apply the force, it can change the state of motion. It means either from rest it can start moving, or if it is already in motion, it can change the speed of it, and it can change the direction of it also. Then other change you see is that it can change the shape of an object. For example, if you take an inflated balloon and hold it between your two palms and apply force, you will see that it will change the shape. Similarly, in your kitchen, when you make a dough to make roti, then if you press it or if you roll it with your rolling pin, what happens? It changes the shape. So, force can change the shape of an object. So that are the different changes that can be happen in the object when we apply the force. What are the states of motion? There are two states of motion. Either it is at rest or it is in motion. So that are the called state of motion. Either stationary means at rest or in the motion. I explain how a force can change states of motion. I already explained you that if it is in a stationary motion, then when we apply it can start moving. And in motion already, then it can be slowed down or it can be got faster also. And last, also I already explained what is the effect of force on the shape of an object. It can change the shape of the object. So here we are going to finish the session and you will write down the answers on your own. Thank you very much.